the Weekend Warrior. And what I'm going to do today is do my first Honest Guy review. And I've been on a couple channels, Callaway Airsoft, FC Airsoft, a couple other channels that were my personal channels and my team's channels. Well, everybody kind of scattered and doing their own things now, so I'm just going to try to do some reviews that I think are necessary for YouTube because there's not a lot of the reviews. I'll have a review coming up for the Polestar Jack with the Mini FCU because there's only 2 videos that I know of on YouTube with the Mini FCU. So I'm going to get that, do a couple games with that, and then tell you guys my opinion on it and how to use it. So for today, we're going to have the Jag Arms Scattergun. When I purchased this gun, let's say 6 months ago, when it first came out, it was a big blow up. I mean, you couldn't keep them in the stores, but it was confusing because there wasn't a lot of reviews or videos on YouTube of it, and I was like, you would think out of all the people that bought the gun, there would be tons of reviews, but there wasn't. So it's been about 6 months that this thing has been used and abused for sure. As you guys can see, some modifications I had to do, and I'll show pictures of this later because I don't want to have to zoom in and out. But this is going to be the honest review of how I feel about the gun. Okay, so starting from here, we'll go forward. You have a polymer stock. This is the SD model, I believe. So the reservoir's inside of this. It's a clone of the Tokyo Marui M870. So all parts from that should be compatible in this, I would say. You have a rubber butt pad. You squeeze 2 tabs on the butt pad, pull the pad off, and your reservoir will come out. So you have a polymer stock, pretty comfortable. If you've ever shot or own a real M870, it's really the same thing. I mean, it's a clone of that gun, so all the features of that is replicated onto this. So you have your metal receiver, just push safety here right behind the trigger, and your little door trigger, I don't know what you really call it, opens up the trap door at the bottom to put your shell in. You have a metal rail on top with your ghost ring sight on the back, and your pump here is polymer. The rest of the gun is metal. And it goes forward. When you rack it back, you have a selector on the inside here. When you pump back, it slides this back, and there's a selector here. It says 3 and 6. It allows you to change between 3 shots and 6 shots. I usually keep it on 3 just because when you're shooting at a distance, it's a little bit more accurate with 3 shots than it is with 6. The 6 shots don't go as far. So that's really about it. I mean, it's just a shotgun. Most people that play airsoft know what a shotgun is and have used a shotgun before. I guess we could talk numbers now. In the summertime, so let's say 80 to 90 to 100 degrees, it's going to be shooting anywhere between 360 and 385. I think my hottest shot was with this, and that was like on a 95 degree day. It was like around 380, and I was using 2.5 BBs with that chrono reading, but I shoot 2.8s out of it. And the reason I do that is because with 2.2s, 2.5s, 2.3s, I mean, whatever you want to use, those won't even compare to the hop up with this gun with that much FPS. It was soaring 2.5s like it was nobody's business. So 2.8s to 3s to 3.2s would be really recommended for this. Now, I used it the other day, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, and it was around 40 degrees outside. It was chronoing around 310 or it was like around 290 to 310, and that was even keeping hot hands around the reservoir for about 30 minutes before putting it in the gun and running it to chrono. So I tried to stay as fair as possible, and it was still around, like I said, 290 to 310, and I wasn't getting very good range out of the 2.8s with that, so I was using 2.5s, and that helped a lot. I was still hitting around 100 foot with 2.5s, but as I used it more, it started to decrease a whole lot because of the weather and how the propane that I use in this it's keeping cold and it's not getting back up to temperature. So I would say maybe use 2.3s or 0.2s even when you're running at that cold to get at least some range out of it. Like I said, the 6-shot is kind of unnecessary for me just because I do a lot of outdoor playing and most fields wouldn't even allow this indoor because of how hot it shoots. So, I mean, if you're going to want to run a shotgun like this indoors, I would recommend getting the tactical model, and maybe the FPS is lower on that one. Or just get that model, the tactical model with the buffer 2 reservoir, and HPA tap it so you guys can make it what FPS you want. But other than that, it's been a very good shotgun. Very intimidating and loud. Couple complaints I do have. First complaint is when I got the shotgun, I got it at GI Tactical in Virginia, and here where the stock and the receiver meet, when you pull down on it, it would leak like crazy. So I took it back. Zach at GI Tactical hooked me right up, fixed the problem, and it worked flawless for 4 months. And out of some very heavy use, almost every weekend, it started to leak really, really bad, and I couldn't figure out the problem. So I pretty much just said I was going to retire it for a couple weeks, and I just pretty much just quit using it. And after watching a couple videos, I couldn't really figure out what it was, so I decided just to take it apart. Well, what it was is there's a little nipple on the inside of the stock here that when your reservoir pushes into, and that little nipple has 2 O-rings on it. Well, the top O-ring is a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be, and it had slipped out of its spacing, or its cutout on the nipple, and pushed all the way down on it. So when I was trying to press the reservoir in, it wasn't getting a flush sitting with the inside of the gas, I guess the gas mechanics, I don't know. And it wasn't getting a flush setting with that, and it would just dump all my gas out. So I think it was, I used a 9mm socket. I'm really not sure about that, but I used a 9mm socket and unscrewed that nipple out, the fill valve or the valve, whatever you want to call it, so out of the inside of the stock, not the reservoir, out of the inside of the stock. Screwed that out, got a smaller O-ring, replaced it, and now it works great again. Okay, so my next problem is my tabs on the inside of my stock cracked off. So then I was having a problem of running around, and my butt plate would just fall off constantly. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I had a guy on Virginia Airsoft discussion page pretty much told me to make a Band-Aid out of Velcro. And I'll post some pictures in the video after everything of what I did, and it works great. Now my problem is the stock is cracking in multiple places and just kind of chipping off. So it just kind of looks bad. I mean, some of it's covered up, but I'll also show you guys pictures of that as well. But it doesn't affect the functionality of the gun. But other than that, it's been great after fixing the problems, and it's fine now, and I absolutely love it. My friends that use it love it. The field owner at Augusta Airsoft loves to hear it, so makes me happy. Thanks for watching, you guys. If you guys like to see any other reviews, let me know. Just comment, and thanks.